ideal to start teaching a dog to walk on a loose leash with as few distractions as possible. Start inside without your leash and teach the dog to follow you.
Yes.
There is no need to call the dog to you.
Yes.
Instead, wait for him to be near you, then mark and reinforce that behavior with a food treat.
Yes. Yes.
If the dog wanders off, just continue about your business. Eventually, he will check back in with you.
Yes.
Mark and reinforce this.
Yes.
Once the dog consistently stays by you, add your leash. When putting the leash on the dog, ask him to sit. Make sure he is calm before clipping the leash. For some dogs, this may take some time. Be patient and wait for the dog to be calm in the presence of the leash. For some dogs, you may want to use a food treat for this exercise. For other dogs, the food treat may amp them up. Pay attention to the dog you are working with and make adjustments as necessary. Once the leash is on, give the dog a verbal cue to begin moving. I prefer let's go. Begin walking. Mark and reinforce with a food treat when the dog walks with you and the leash is loose. If the dog tightens up on the leash, stop moving. Stand still. Wait for the dog to loosen up and then begin moving forward again, remembering to mark and reinforce the behavior you want the dog to do. Wait for the dog to sit before opening the door. If the dog gets up or moves forward, close the door and wait for him to sit again before attempting to reopen the door. Mark and reinforce with food treats for smaller steps. Once the dog understands the drill, the reward will be that the dog goes out the door. For some dogs, you will need to give food as you go through the door to teach them not to charge forward. Once this behavior has been mastered, take it outside. Start with as few outside distractions as you possibly can. When exiting, make sure the dog is in the same calm frame of mind that you asked for when putting on the leash. For some dogs, you will need to give food as you go through the door to teach them not to charge forward. When going through the door, be sure to cue the dog that he may do so. The cue, let's go, applies here as well. Once you say, let's go, move through the door. Be sure to reinforce him with food outside the door. As you walk, mark and reinforce a loose leash. Once this is mastered, introduce distractions. You may need to give treats more often and use treats with higher value when there are more distractions.